Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 74 in Be With Me in the book of Revelation. Today I'm going to ask a question that we all wonder about, and let's talk about it. And that is, what happens when I die? Well, it's a little bit complicated. It's quite spiritual, but it's also physical. And it's above our pay grades in great measure, and it's dependent upon the work that Jesus did. But then here's the thing. It's also dependent upon the decisions that we make with God's help now. So the main event in the book of Revelation is the second coming of Christ. That's the big marquee moment. Well, what about my main event? What happens when I die? So let me just tell you in general what happens to people who die. So when you die, your soul goes somewhere. Your spirit goes somewhere, and your body goes somewhere. So to the ocean, if you die in the ocean, or if you're buried or burned up in creation, your body goes somewhere, and your soul goes somewhere. And then at a certain time, everybody, believers and non-believers, at a certain time, your body and your spirit, your soul, is going to be reunited. It's going to be resurrected. Believers and unbelievers, everybody gets resurrected. Why? Well, God is in the resurrection and is in the resurrection business, so everybody gets resurrected. The point is, to who are you resurrected to, and to what are you resurrected to? That's your body. To who is either Jesus or worse, and then where are you resurrected to? And after this resurrection, in general, everybody gets judged. Everybody is resurrected to judgment. That's the first thing that happens, and nobody escapes that. Nobody. And then after that judgment, we're permanently placed somewhere. So for believers, let's talk about them. Believers have been around for a long time. In the Old Testament, they were there. New Testament, current day. And then if we look a little bit to the future, what happened to the believers that die during the 7-year tribulation period? Or how about the millennial period, that 1,000-year period? Their outcomes are generally similar, and that's outlined as when you die, you go to Christ's presence. That's where your soul goes. Your body goes to somewhere else. Then you get resurrected bodily at some point, and then you are judged, and then you end up in heaven. So remember, he told the thief on the cross, today you will be with me, be in the presence of the Lord, and be in paradise. So it sounds pretty wonderful. We don't need much more detail than that. The next big event for believers is going to be at the rapture. The body is resurrected, and you will be reunited to a restored, immortal, spiritual body. And you will be judged at the judgment seat of Christ. So this is for believers. Believers don't avoid judgment. They're just helped at judgment. They are in the book of life, and you get to go to heaven because of the work that Jesus did on your behalf at your the judgment. It's very similar to the saints that die in the tribulation period. It's very similar to those who die in the millennial period. So the tribulation period, those who are hanging in there during that very difficult 7-year period that don't receive the mark of the beast and don't waver during this very intense physical suffering time. For those that have died during that period, they go to paradise. Similarly, they are resurrected just at a slightly different time. That is Christ's second coming, which happens at the end of that 7-year period. And then they are judged on the earth, but then the outcome is the same. They end up in the new heaven and the new earth, which we're going to find out about in chapter 20 of Revelation here coming up. So all believers of every era have a similar outcome. They immediately go to paradise with the presence of the Lord. They're resurrected to their body at some point. Then they're judged, and then they go to heaven. So kind of a 4-step process. Now, let's talk about unbelievers for a second. Non-believers, those who say no to the help that is needed in this process. When they die, they go to Hades, and here they are alone. Similarly, they have the same 4 steps. So they go somewhere. They go to Hades. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is they are resurrected at the end of the millennium, at the end of the 1,000 years. That's in Revelation chapter 20, verse 13. Death and Hades gave up the dead who were in them, and they were judged, each one of them, according to what he had done. So at the judgment, at their great white throne judgment, they stand alone. So they don't have help at the judgment. That's bad. And they are placed in hell, also aka the lake of fire, aka Gehenna, and that not only involves the suffering of the body, not only is it permanent, but it is away from his presence. So in conclusion, things happen after you die, quote unquote. I'm using die in quotation marks. And why is that? Well, because you are immortal. Nobody just dies and is gone. You are going to live forever. It just depends on where and with who. And remember, he has told us lots about this. He's given us many details. And every detail he gives us in the Bible, they're called prophecies, are 100% reliable. Just like all the ones in the past, hundreds of them in the Bible were found to be true as time went on. Similarly, the ones that he's giving us now about the future in the book of Revelation, about what is to come, those are 100% reliable. So what happens after you die depends a lot on God. For sure, he is boss, he is sovereign, and only he has power in this realm, in this afterlife realm. But here's the thing, is we have some power now. So what happens after you die depends in great measure on you. Well, how is that if we don't have any power in that world? It's the question about what you do now about your sin. What do you do now about the penalty that it carries? My recommendation, I charge you and beg you, fall on Jesus, lean on him, because this stuff is so far above our pay grade. Decide today. I love these are mostly 2-word prayers. I'll follow. I repent. I'm sorry. I believe. I need you. Thank you. Save me. Receive me. I receive you. So be with the Lord now. Receive him now. Why is that? So that you can be with him on that day. You can be with him then. Thanks for listening.